Welcome to the Gospel Sports Truth Podcast. I'm your host, Zay, along with my guys, Young Vander and King Ron, bringing you the truth unapologetically as we see it. We got a lot going on this week. What wowed us for this week, different movement and shaking that's going on in the world of the NFL, championship round reactions, Super Bowl projections, and NFL free agents and how it's going to affect fantasy. We'll run through the running backs this week, and we'll hop on the wide receivers next week. Make sure you follow us on YouTube at The Gospel STP, and make sure you follow us on all your major platforms. Also, if you need to get any information to us, you can send that to thegospelstp@gmail.com. So let's hop right into it. What wowed us this week? So right after we recorded the show, I think the next day, if I'm not mistaken, Raheem Morris ended up being extended the position for the Atlanta Falcons as the head coach. There were all sort of rumors out there. Bill Belichick had been interviewed twice. Your boy Jim Harbaugh had been interviewed twice. We'll speak on him in just a second and his move to the Chargers. But yeah, Morris is the head coach in Atlanta. What are your immediate reactions to that head coach signing? Does he fit? Do we think that it's going to be a hindsight, not quite being 2020 sort of a move for Atlanta? How are we feeling about this? You go ahead and kick us off, Andy.
I mean, I'm not mad at it. Raheem Morris is well deserved, to have this role. He's one of the guys that I think deserve opportunity. There's a few guys I would like to see before he got it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But now that the move has been made, I am happy with the coordinators he has been choosing. So I do like the coordinator. I think Zach Robinson. He's probably gonna bring that LA Rams style offense to Atlanta, and I think with the weapons they have currently there, it should be a really good fit. So it's a cool move. I'd give it maybe a B minus.
You feeling the same way, Ron?
Yeah, I'm on par about the same way with it. I hated the Bill Belichick steam to Atlanta. I just felt like the cultural fit wasn't there at all. So Raheem Morris, definitely from a culture standpoint, I think fits there. I was really hoping EB would get that shot of getting. I thought he would be a better fit with a young quarterback, nice tight end, nice receiver. You can mold the young quarterback because he's instrumental in Pat's development to a degree also. So, but I'm not upset with it. I'm on par with Vander on this, probably by B minus. If Belichick would have went there, I'd have gave it a D. So anything better than that, I'm rocking with.
And we'll talk about EB in just a second, Eric Bieniemy, because there's some happenings going on, or something that didn't happen may actually make the future a little bit brighter for him. We'll see how that goes. Seattle was able to get their guy, Mike Macdonald. Baltimore's defensive coordinator is now the head coach in Seattle. They've always kind of gone the path of having a defensive guy kind of being at the helm there for the last few years, with Pete Carroll being a defensive guy that's been there for quite a while. Doesn't look like Pete's going to get a job. Bill Belichick might not get a job now. We'll talk about that in just a second. But how do you guys feel about Mike Macdonald, the DC for Baltimore, getting that Seattle job? Why don't you go ahead and kick us off with that one, Ron?
Yeah, I like it because I like new blood instead of the same recycled old coaches. And Baltimore this year had historically one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in like the past 10 years. So any other time coordinators, make that type of leap or have that type of success, they do get head coaching opportunities per se. And being the fact that, I may be a little biased. Well, he's a black head coach. We don't have that many of them. I like the fact that he got a chance. And like you said, cultural, I think it's still like Pete Carroll, a defensive type guy, maybe been there too long, even though I was kind of shocked when he got fired. So a younger, more exuberant, more maybe bring some new blood, new tactics, and maybe new age stuff as far as defensively wise. I like it. They're a more defense-based team. That's how they've been drafted in the past couple of years. Even though Geno had a nice year, they got Kenneth Walker and the receivers are nice, and Metcalf and Lockett. I like the fact that it's still defensive-minded, and Mike Macdonald, I think, is a good fit.
What you got, Vander?
Yeah, I'm pretty much echo the same thing. I'm just glad it's not another old recycled coach. You know, he's now currently the youngest head coach in the NFL, which is cool. So I'm just glad to see some new guys get some opportunities.
Wait,
And not,
McDonald's younger than Mayo?
yeah, he's 36.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that. Okay.
So hey, I'm all about the new guys getting opportunities. So yeah, I like that.
So now let's go ahead and talk about what didn't happen. So Ben Johnson ends up staying with Detroit. His name was out there as one of the hottest coordinators, offensive guys that was out there. It was supposed to pretty much already be a done deal that he was going over to Washington. Now that he isn't going to Washington, it makes Eric Bieniemy the only other offensive coordinator or offensive coach that they've even interviewed. They've already kind of written off Bill Belichick. They haven't mentioned Pete Carroll. There aren't too many other guys that have the cachet of the guy that's already in the building. So does Eric Bieniemy kind of get his shot by default? Or do you think that they'll figure out a way to bring in somebody else that we weren't really thinking of in this moment in the game? Or for that matter, Mike Vrabel's still out there as well.
Yeah,
Maybe that's the direction they choose to go. But they were looking at offensive guys more so than defensive guys. So the only offensive coach out there right now that's worth his salt, when you look at experience and showing that his system works, humble opinion would be Eric Bieniemy at this point in the game. So do we think that he kind of gets that job by default now, or they'll end up just revamping the whole direction that they had in mind?
No, I was about to say I know Rabel was still a guy that was out there. But I mean, if they are looking for an offensive kind of guy, don't sleep on the OC from the Dolphins, and don't sleep on the
Okay.
OC that may come out of this game, out of this 49er
Has he
game.
been interviewing?
Yeah.
I don't even remember seeing the OC from the
Well,
Dolphins. I don't even remember seeing his name out there.
yeah, I think he got an interview with the Panthers.
Okay.
Also Clint Kubiak and
Facts, yeah.
I don't know if it's Greasy. I think Greasy one of them boys. It's kind of like a split thing in San Fran. But if they win the Super Bowl, that's going to be even more of a reason why this guy could probably come in the building and get the interview. I mean,
I can see it.
so I mean, I like EB. I think I'm cool with him getting an opportunity, but I mean, if they're looking for offensive way, don't sleep on two of the top offenses this past season. That would be in Miami and in San Fran.
I think it's more, to be honest with you, I think it's more of a blessing in disguise that the job was turned down. And like you say, he may get the job by default. But if you're looking at it, this is the type of guy that I am if I was in the owner's perspective. I don't want an Indian. I want a chief. You know,
Okay.
offensive coordinators and coordinators are more like Indians. So you have your opportunity to be the chief of your own thing, and you said, no, I'm gonna turn it down. I'm gonna stay with Detroit just to do that again. I don't know what this for. You gonna gain any more experience? I mean, you went to the NFC Championship and you partly kind of misbotched it with some play calls or whatever, but you've been a successful. Like you missed it by one game. Like the Super Bowl is the goal, of course, winning it, but you missed that by one game. So now you
I'm
say,
gonna
I
tell
want to
you what
come
I
back
think.
and be the
I
OC.
know you say, well, why would you want to do that?
Mhm.
I think it's a not a very well kept secret that a couple more coaches may either be getting fired or quitting next year of jobs that are much more appealing. Um, unless Pittsburgh wins 2 playoff games, I can see Tomlin moving on, whether or not he chooses himself or whether they choose it for him. I can see, honestly, and look, I know you're gonna be ready to cuss at me, Ryan. If y'all win the Super Bowl, I can see Andy Reid calling it a quits in the championship ceremony. Like like normally where there's smoke, there's fire, and they don't put out all these stories about he might be retiring or he's mulling it over. And then I know what he came out and said, but all this stuff don't come out unless there's a little bit of truth to it. So maybe if they do win the Super Bowl this year, he still comes back another year. But I can see several people that may want their first job to be a job that they won't have to worry about a second job, because your worst case scenario, if you're an offensive coach, is having an offense that's going to work just because of the quarterback. So, I mean, there are a few opportunities that may be available that may kind of have a little bit more luster to them than going to a team that hasn't done anything in decades. So I can kind of see why no one will want to hang their hat on certain jobs that are out there right now, namely the Commanders, because they seem to be snake bitten for some years right now. So, what are your thoughts as far as, people kind of kicking the can down the road based on there being possibly a better scenario going into next year? And that's just two of the teams that came to mind at the forefront as far as that would be better situations, and also teams that aren't going to be as likely to get rid of you if you do kind of stumble out the gate.
And for Pittsburgh, I can see that for sure, because Pittsburgh has shown that when they hire head coaches, they have like tenure, long stability there. But if you look at it from an offensive standpoint, if he's an offensive guy, I'm not sure. Maybe he may be looking at it and say, well, some of these guys on the Detroit roster, free agents next year, I don't think gonna come back. Maybe I can take a couple in with me or so. But if that's not the case, I still kind of figure like it's a competitive advantage that you don't have. You don't have a competitive fire for me. So everything in the playoffs or whatever it is not going to line up for you perfectly. And then if you turn down for sure for what if Tomlin does win those 2 games? Like what if a team that a coach is on the hot seat does make some progress? So then what if you just still stuck there? So, maybe he's more comfortable doing that. But like if I had to pick between the two, I like Sam Howell way better. I like Kenny Pickett or anything that they have in Pittsburgh.
True.
Running backs, unless you have an elite one, you can find a productive one of those. If you got Scary Terry and some guys, if you want to give the edge to like Deontay Johnson and George Pickens and stuff, I understand that tight end with fire move. But I just feel like if you have the opportunity for it and you interviewed for it, like you knew all this stuff before you interviewed for it. So if you went through that process and said, no, well, I'm going to come back, I just feel like, to me, I don't want that type of guy leading my team.
I can see that too. Now, Vander, I got this one for you. Arthur Smith, the former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, is now the offensive coordinator for Pittsburgh. Now, I'm going to give you some numbers before you give me your opinion, okay? And I'll tell you, my initial opinion was, what in the entire world is Pittsburgh doing right now? But then I had to take a step back. The reason I had to take a step back was because when Arthur Smith was the offensive coordinator in Tennessee, they ran the exact type of offense that Tomlin wants to run. They were number 1 in the run. This year, Pittsburgh was number 5 in the run. So you got a guy that's going to be able to coordinate the run. They were top 10 in passing yards, but bottom 10 in passing attempts, which is also something that Pittsburgh likes to do. They don't really like to throw the ball a whole lot unless they absolutely have to. So it feels as if his style of offense fits in with what the team, what their, I would say, modus operandi is currently and has been over the last several years. And if he can get anything close to the offense that he had with the Titans in Pittsburgh, they'll literally be playing the brand of offense and still having that same defensive cachet that'll get them down the road that they need to travel down. So when I kind of saw the numbers of when he was just the OC versus having say-so over everything, it kind of worked out for Tennessee, and they made a little bit of a come up, and they were top 10 in almost every offensive category other than pass attempts. Also, I can see Kenny Pickett being as good as Ryan Tannehill if it shakes out right. Because Ryan Tannehill wasn't good as Ryan Tannehill until he got to the Titans and hooked up with Arthur Smith. He was horrible in Miami. So how are you feeling about this move? And knowing the numbers, which I know you're a NFL guru, so I'm pretty sure you already knew the numbers, but how does knowing that the offense that he had is the type of offense that Pittsburgh wants, does that go into your decision-making at all as far as whether or not this was a good decision for them?
I'm going to make this quick. The Steelers got Derrick Henry?
Well, kind of. It's taken 2 guys to be the one guy, but they had the top 5 running game this year without him. So, I mean, they have a run game.
They got Derrick Henry?
No, but they already had a top 5 run game, though, is all I'm saying. I'm not saying they're going to be number 1 the way the Titans are with Derrick Henry, but they already top 5.
but the rushing the NFL has been down anyway this year. There's so many. They went the only top 5 because Chubb got hurt. The only top 5 because like certain things have happened to make them elevate.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
You watch Pittsburgh this year. They didn't look good. They didn't look good offensively. And you just speak about him having the #1 run defense. It was because of Derrick Henry. So unless Derrick Henry walking in the building, a younger Derrick Henry, because when he had him, he was a lot younger. Then
Right.
I ain't messing with Arthur Smith. Okay, what the Falcons was ranked at this year? If don't go back to Tennessee. Let's talk about the present.
Well, the reason I'm going back to Tennessee is because I'm looking at his position as being the OC versus being the head coach.
Who do you think
In Atlanta, he had a lot more responsibility other than just focusing on the offense. But I mean, I do see where you're coming from as far as that's concerned.
So I don't want to talk about what he was 4-5 years ago. 4-5 years ago, I wasn't the same person. You know what I'm saying? I ain't had no kids 4-5 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to talk about, Arthur Smith did something back in Tennessee. The personnel's not there. The NFL has changed even more since then. And I mean, Warren and Najee, nah.
You don't think the combination of Najee and Warren is
That don't
anything
equal,
close to Henry?
no.
Even though it's the top 5 run game?
No.
Okay.
What was Atlanta ranking? What was Atlanta ranked that rushing this year?
I'm not 100% sure on that one, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying. But I don't want to talk about top 5 when you had a Hall of Fame running back.
But he wasn't the OC though.
Who you think was calling the plays?
I mean, unless he was the OC and the head coach, and it was too much for him to navigate. I mean,
those just
and don't hear what I'm not saying, because I didn't like Arthur Smith in Atlanta at all. Just so we're on the same page.
Who the OC in Kansas City?
I don't know.
Ron, who the OC?
Eric Bieniemy. I don't know who took over after Eric Bieniemy. Who the OC in Kansas City, Ron?
Well, Matt Nagy has a title, but Andy Reid already played.
Okay. So who and when you watching the game, who be doing this? That's
Andy Reid for sure.
Yeah, all right, so cool. That's the answer. So yeah. Yeah. So if Atlanta wasn't the #1 rushing offense this past year, I don't want to hear about Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith is horrible.
So what you're saying is that your cousin is definitely about to be out of job at the end of the year, based on the offense that they had this year, and now you're bringing in Arthur Smith that ain't gonna get better.
But one thing about Tomlin tends to make poor decisions with OCs because he kept Canada too long.
Yeah, he
kept Ben Roethlisberger way too long. And then the other guy, the dude with the black hair, the guy that was before Canada, he was there. Like he tend to keep, he don't make good choices when it comes to OCs because he's not an offensive.
He loyal to a fault in many cases. Like he'll see that that the train is eventually gonna lead the tracks, and he'll just say full steam ahead, and we're gonna do what we do. No. But it's gonna be interesting because it might be some pretty big names moving, and Tomlin won't be without a job very long if he does choose, or if it's chosen for him to leave Pittsburgh. And it might be, well, for that matter, who knows if it was, do you know if it was up to him to hire Arthur Smith, or was that somebody above him saying that this was the pick?
Arthur Smith daddy a billionaire, so who knows?
That part. That's what I'm saying. Maybe it was more about the alliance than it was about anything else. So, what else we got? OC Bobby Slovic, who is the OC in Houston. He had a couple of interviews and everything. He ended up stating that he was going to go ahead and stay in Houston, see whether or not they can kind of take Houston to the next level. Unlike you were saying, Ron, with Ben Johnson, they didn't, make it to the NFC or AFC championship round this year and kind of didn't have much more to prove. They made a huge step, but he's wanting to show that they can take the next step, and he already has a young offense, and they can take the next step just by improving the run game a little bit, and CJ Stroud kind of taking his next level of maturity in the game. So I can kind of see why he may want to stay where he is. And I'm pretty sure that came with a little bump in pay as well. That tends to happen when OCs stay put, when the team knows that they had other opportunities as being head coaches. Something else that came out, I don't know how I feel about this, but I guess to a certain extent, the current head coach there in the Broncos, he's an offensive head coach, so maybe it makes sense. They're talking about considering moving star cornerback Patrick Surtain for draft capital to try to move up and get one of the bigger names as far as quarterback is concerned. I don't see them being able to possibly put together a package with Surtain and a pick to get to number one. I don't think Chicago would do that, but Surtain on one side and Johnson on the other would be nice on defense. It definitely would be nice, but I don't know if I'm liking this. Do you guys think that there's quarterbacks at the top that aren't the number one? Because I don't have that much faith as far as Caleb Williams is concerned. Everyone has their opinion, but I honestly don't have that much faith in any of these quarterbacks at the top to say I'm going to get rid of a sure thing at cornerback for a possible. It's kind of like giving up a king in spades and hoping that you get the joker. Like, you might end up being the joke. That what you thought was going to be a joker might end up being the jack. Like, I don't see giving up Surtain for a maybe. Do you guys feel the same way, or am I looking at this way too deep? And if you don't have a quarterback, you got to get a quarterback no matter what it takes.
Yeah, I think I don't think they have enough to move up, like to get Caleb Williams, like with them trading all their picks and stuff away for like to the Seahawks and everything. But if they are engaging in talks with the Bears, I wouldn't. If what makes more sense to me is that you said, okay, well, we'll take Surtain, maybe some picks or whatever, the ones that you have left, and move them for Justin Fields. Like, in this way, you don't have enough to get up to get Caleb. And if the Bears are set on getting Caleb Williams and have to move him, why not move him for a young stud cornerback that can, age?
I wouldn't feel comfortable giving up any more than Surtain for Fields.
Yeah, I'm cool. Like, no, I think just a quarterback going rate, you have to give some picks.
Well,
yeah, just because he's a quarterback and got some promise. So yeah, I don't think they have enough with them trading everything to Seattle to get to number one. Like, if Chicago plans to take Caleb Williams, and I think like for Patrick Surtain, I don't know to what other teams, if you want a player in return, like I don't know if they want to go like an offensive wide, like say give him another weapon, give us a receiver to go at DJ Moore or whatever. But if you're trying to improve the team all the way around, if you're willing to move a player, that would what I would be to explore if I was Chicago. I'm not sure if Denver wants that, because I don't know how they feel about Justin Fields, but I don't see them having enough just to move up to say we'll give you Patrick Surtain or whatever, and for you to get the number one pick to take Caleb. I don't see that. Maybe some of the other team in maybe 5 or 6 or so. But I don't see number one. I don't see them having the capital to do that.
Real quick, man. I mean, how you kill this thing is, it was 3 names mentioned actually. It was Caleb Williams, Derek May, and the kid from LSU. So what I would So what I would do if I was the Bears is I'll draft Caleb Williams to keep. Maybe trade Fields to Atlanta for their first round pick, take that first round pick and send that to Denver and let them get the quarterback with that one, and then give me Surtain. So I end up with Caleb Williams and Surtain. Yeah. We gonna rock like that. That's how I would do.
Yeah, so I ain't mad at that.
Second pick that Chicago get, let Denver get that pick and get their quarterback. It won't be Caleb, but they'll probably get May, or they may get the kid from LSU with that pick. I think it's like number 8 or something like that. So it's a pretty high. Yeah. Maybe let them use that pick, and I'll take Surtain and I'll take Caleb Williams.
Not mad at that at all.
So Atlanta will get Fields. They'll get a quarterback. They'll get the quarterback they want to draft it. Then I'll get the top quarterback and the corner.
Makes sense. I mean, if that's on the table to be done, it makes sense for all parties involved. Honestly, we'll just have to see how that works out a little bit closer to time for the draft. As the draft comes nearer, picks become more valuable the same way as it is in dynasty leagues and things of that nature. Once news is currency, and once you start hearing all this, this, that, and the third about all these different picks, then it just becomes I got to get this guy type of a situation. So we'll see how that works out.
And they still have their own pick too.
Yeah. They got their own pick, and then they got Carolina pick and their own pick too. Yeah. So another bit of news that came across the wire: Tom Brady is officially going to start his $300+ million contract with Fox as their lead analyst in the Super Bowl, apparently. So he was waiting to start his career with a bang. Hopefully he'll be as good analyzing as he was with being on the field. We'll kind of see how that goes. I know Tony Romo was able to kind of, be worth his weight based on being able to diagnose defenses in real time. If he can do it, there's no way Tom Brady won't be able to diagnose defenses and know exactly what he's seeing. Same thing that you get from Eli and Peyton on their version of the Monday night football games and everything like that. They kind of know what's about to happen before it happens. So we'll get to see Tom Brady in his new role with Fox. So I guess this now makes it official that he won't be coming back because he's starting his contract now with that $300+ million. So I will still be able to see Tom Brady out there. Let's go ahead and switch veins a little bit. Talk a little bit about the AFC Championship and the NFC Championship. In the AFC Championship game, the Chiefs defeated the Baltimore Ravens 17-10 to advance to their 4th Super Bowl in 5 seasons. In the AFC Championship game, the 49ers came from behind to beat the Detroit Lions 34-31. So I guess seeing as how we have a fan of both teams, I'll let you guys talk about your individual games. Vander, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with the NFC side of the house? 49ers came from behind to beat Detroit, or Detroit let the 49ers come from behind as they beat themselves, however you want to look at it. But how did you diagnose that game? What were your feelings throughout the game? Did you feel like y'all were going to come back, or did you kind of feel like once you got behind by 17 points and looking at the stats, I believe Shanahan was like 2-29 when being behind by 14 points or more in the second half. Was it one of those, I'm already cussing out the coach, or did you have faith the whole time? How did that work out as you were watching the game?
No, actually, I thought we had an opportunity to catch up and win the game. I mean, I had people calling me at halftime. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, I think we good. I think we can get him. Because I know he's getting the ball back at half.
Right.
So I wasn't really too worried because I know how these, it's a 4 quarters. You know what I'm saying? You have to play all the way through. But they was able to make adjustments. I didn't like again, I don't like Wilkes too much, but he did make some pretty good adjustments at
Yeah,
the
he
half.
did.
Finally, we start seeing a little bit more pressure because we can't get there with 4 guys. You know what I mean? Especially against the best offensive line probably in football right now. But he made some changes at the half. We finally got some turnovers, in key field spots. And I mean, again, at the end of the day, I blame Dan Campbell for this loss because he
I do
left
too.
a lot of points out there as well. I think they kind of came out a lot. I think they celebrated a little too early.
Facts.
Gardner Johnson waving in the second quarter, to the fans already. So they thought they was already up and it was over. So, and they showed which team this is a new team, not used to being in this position.
Lack of experience. Absolutely.
I think the experience really kicked in this game.
Yeah, I agree. You can't act like you've been there before when you ain't been there before. And they showed that they haven't been there before. The other side of the house, AFC Championship game, Chiefs defeats Baltimore. Honestly, this felt like it was by more than 17-10, to be honest with you. But what were your thoughts on that game as far as your Chiefs were concerned, Ryan?
I kind of feel the same way the last thing Barry said, but like the experience factor. Like even when the game first came on, like you could see like not necessarily saying that we just was going through the motion, like we were just like calm. Like we know it's a big moment, but like don't get too high, don't get too low. Let's just go play football type thing. And when we scored on the first drive and how we scored with ease, I was like, listen, I know Andy, like if those two first, like the second drive gonna be just as good as the first one, because when they work like that, because Baltimore play a lot of zone, and you can't play a zone like Patrick Mahomes is like, if you look at it, like in NFL history, like the #1 quarterback rating quarterback against zone and against the blitz. But you have a little bit more success if you blitz more than just sit in the zone. So once we scored that way, and like I was telling him, I said, I don't, and me and Barry also spoke with this, and Barry said this, Barry was like, I just don't know how they're gonna score if they don't have like a crazy running day, because we do a great job on receivers. Like Zay Flowers is nice, but both of his big catches were one that we thought we had a sack, and the play when it improvised. It was a play, we missed a sack. So hey, hats off. And L'Jarius Sneed blowing the coverage like he did in the Super Bowl with Devontae Smith. That's the first thing I thought about when I saw it down there. So outside of like blown coverages, pretty much I didn't see them consistently moving the ball down the field with their receivers. So I said Mark Andrews is back. We like 7th in the league at guarding the tight end. And one way you can kind of gash us with is with the run. But how we do is like we have that same run defense all year, but we only give it the second amount of points. So we have this philosophy that you can do this up until you get to a certain point. Now you got to get a touchdown. You can't get 3 points. So
Bend,
it
don't
turned
break.
into that. Yeah. So yeah, once I saw that, I said, yo, I don't think these guys can score on us. So in the second half, like I'm not sure if you guys watched Inside the NFL, but I watched it. And I was like, yo, we didn't do anything. We had like 30-something total yards before Marquez Valdes-Scantling threw like into the last play for like 30-something yards. So we ended up with like 60, like 7 or something for the total passing yard. And watching that, and he was like, Andy was like, hey, listen, bro, don't turn the ball over. We're not going to give them no short fields, anything. Like, I know we can do this, but we're going to play it like this because Spags and on the side, like, yo, they can't score against us. Even though we had like a little, like, I think the fumble was big with Sneed, you know. We had
Huge.
that, but huge, but like that came off
Huge.
of blown coverage. So they felt like they couldn't score against us. So, and then he was like, yo, if we need to make a play, you're going to make it. And of all people, I never thought Marquez Valdes-Scantling caught the ball falling down. When I watched
fully
this man
expected him to drop that ball.
Man,
I fully expected him to drop the ball.
Me too. You know, so yeah, I kind of felt like even like with the Buffalo game, they had like 100 and so rushing yards on us, but when they got towards that, they kicked field goals. Like they scored 2 touchdowns in it with Josh Allen running or whatever, but in the key moments, they couldn't either score or kick field goals. So I said, you can move up and down the field, but when you get down there, you're gonna have to score touchdowns. You can't score field goal.
The thing that struck me was the fact that with Baltimore only gave, well, during the season, they averaged somewhere around the neighborhood of about 31 rushing attempts. They only had 16. Like, your bread and butter all year was the run game and then opening up the pass game from the run game. And you decided in this game, you're going to want to go a completely different direction. Like, I didn't feel as if Baltimore came in ready to play their style of ball. And they thought they were just going to have to throw the ball to try to keep up with points. But Kansas City didn't really score the way they can score. So I really feel like had you just done what you do, the game could have been a little bit different because you wouldn't have had some of the penalties that you had. You wouldn't have had some of the hiccups that you had. You were still in the game, you know, all the way through. And you completely got away from your game before the game was away from you. So, you know, but again, experience. One team is going to their 4th Super Bowl in the last 5 years. The other team hasn't been to one in quite a while. So the experience factor was definitely something to look at there. Now, look, I know I got a fan of Kansas City. Oh, go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, just one thing about that too. Like like something I didn't know, like, because I was the same way. I was like, well, why aren't they running the football? Like, I expected them to try to pound us with the football. Well, like another tidbit I caught off inside the NFL. After Gus Edwards, if you take away Lamar's scrambling yards, and after Gus Edwards, he ran his first carry for like 12 or 15 yards. For the rest of the game, they ran for 5 carries for like, I want to say like 20-something yards. What Spags did is it showed them a front that he hasn't run all season. He ran like what he called like a big linebacker core. Like, we usually run like 2 linebackers. He run the biggest 4 because they were playing condensed formation on offense. So he put 4 offensive linemen, then brought another offensive lineman in and 3 linebackers. I mean, defensive linemen. So he ran like a big package to where and even in the thing, the OC from Tom Munkin was like, yo, check out of that. And he was like, yo, if you see this package, check out of it. So like you said, experience came with that also, because he threw him a look he never saw. He's like, no, we're not getting success running against this big front. Check out of it. So that was surprising. I think, like I said, experience took a lot with that with me. Like I'd at least tried it. Like if I'd have ran it 30 times and only had something yard, I would rather go down like that than rushing it like how I rushed it in the game.
Facts. So I know, Ron, you're going to say Kansas City going to win the Super Bowl. Vanda, I know you're going to say the 49ers going to win the Super Bowl. So my question isn't who do you think is going to win? My question is, what type of Super Bowl do you think we're going to have? Is this going to be a scoring explosion? Is this going to be more like I guess what I'm asking is it going to be more like the AFC game or more like the NFC game? Is it going to be close to the vest or close to the 17-10 type of situation? Or is it going to be a whoever doesn't make the mistake and ends up with the ball in their hands last, closer to the 34-31 type of situation that Detroit and the 49ers had? What type of a Super Bowl do you think we're going to have? And then I'll give my Super Bowl prediction next week because everybody know who y'all gonna pick. But what type of a Super Bowl do you think we're gonna have?
Want to take it, Bear?
I really think this game gonna get away from them. I don't think it's gonna be close.
Okay.
When I say by close, I mean like 10 points.
Okay. Gotcha.
10-point game.
Now, do you think it's a low scoring game and y'all get up by 10? Or do you think this is going to be like a 40-30 type of a game?
Not 40. No. Maybe 27.
35.
27.
27. Okay. 27-17. Okay.
Somewhat, I think of doing those type of games.
What type of game you think we're going to see, Ron?
I think you're gonna get like a mixture of both. Like I don't think it's gonna be like high scoring as the NFC Championship, but I don't think it's gonna be like low scoring as the AFC Championship. Just a few things that I look at. Like me and Barry was talking about this earlier. Like we've only given up 24 points once this year, entire year. And I think it's gonna come down to, and I think it's gonna be in the 20s also. Like just to go out on a limb, I would be shocked if we lost the game. Not saying it because I'm a fan type thing. Just looking at what I think we have the better coach for sure, and we all know Shanahan does make questionable decisions in big games to when he's up or winning. So maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe he's not in a situation to make. I don't know. Of course, I think we have the better quarterback. I also look at the slow starts. I'm not trying to say San Francisco would get off to a slow start again, but you've gotten off to 2 slow starts with 2 lesser, I think, defenses. So if you get off to a slow start with us, I don't think it's going to be that easy for you to come back in. And one big thing I say with this too is one of my favorite songs is Biggie, Give Me One More Chance. Right. And I referenced that by this because that's what the 49ers have been getting. Like you go to the Packers game, Darnell Savage drops a pick 6. That's you take it and you go. Oh, but he dropped it. Oh, give me one more chance. Oh, so now we go capitalize on it. I don't think the ball that IU caught to set up the touchdown with Christian McCaffrey, like it bounced off the man's face mask. It wasn't a good throw. Bounced off the man's face mask, and IU made the play. Can't take that away from him. Right place, right time. Also said, I think you can run the ball on the 49ers. And if we can run the ball on you, you really have a hard chance of winning the game because it doesn't even factor in what Mahomes and what we're drawing up. So the Lions run for 180 last week. And you can say, oh, well, it's one of the best lines in football. They're going to do that to a lot of people. But I watched the Packers run for like 160 on them. So I think we can run the ball. They pass block win rate is 23rd in the league. Now, Trent Williams is 5th in the league in pass block win rate. Of course, we know what he is. But the rest of the entire line, like the other guy, McGlovey, I can't remember what his name is, hasn't given up any sacks in the postseason to his defense, but he gave up 11.5 in the regular season. The interior of the line isn't as great, and Chris Jones lives there. So I think we can win that there. I just feel like it's going to be hard for them to get to. I think you need to get to at least 24 to beat us, and I don't see them getting there with that. Like you can say the best way for us to lose is run the ball against us, but like I said, we have that same makeup of our defense all year, and we second in the league of points given up. So you can Josh Allen and the Bills ran for 185 on us, and they lost. So I don't know. We'll see. Like I just think that if they start off slow, I don't think we drop those type of passes and stuff. We have the second-ranked defense in the league, but we're like damn near at the bottom of last of creating turnovers. So we schematically just stopping you. Like your drives aren't stopping because of turnovers. So over and over and over again, like we're just stopping you. I just feel like it's going to be hard for them to score after a while.
I'm gonna say this real quick, right? He speak on about slow starts and the lesser defenses, but these offenses is probably better than yours. Detroit offense is probably better. I'm gonna say better than yours. I got a better quarterback, but they got a better offense.
I disagree.
But what are we going off of?
Let's just go with head to head with us two playing, right?
I'm just saying,
they beat
not head to head. We ain't gonna do that because y'all lost to the Packers this year, right?
No, I'm just talking about with the Lions and them as comparing offenses.
But did y'all lose to the Packers, right?
Yeah, we did.
That same Packers team.
Yeah.
Beat them. So don't forget that. I'm just saying let's not forget
I'm not forgetting. And the reason why I didn't bring that up, because like I said, the same Ravens team made y'all look like, but maybe the 49ers aren't what we thought they were. But I'm not going to give that. I'm just going to give the.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm not going to go to what another team did, because you see what I'm saying? But my thing is this. All that, that win rate, all that, y'all give up the run and we got the best running team in the league. I ain't talking about statistically. I'm talking about as far as offensive mind, we got the best running back in the league. And as far as no coach can drop running plays like Shanahan. It's just a fact.
And the question I got for that is, if that's really the case, like you said it was, you have the best. Why did Aaron Jones outrush him? Why did David Montgomery outrush him? Like, almost like, I get what you're saying. Don't get me wrong. I think Christian McCaffrey is the best running back in the league. But if it's such a discrepancy, as you say, like, and I did this too, Isaiah Pacheco leads the playoffs in rushing, but he played one more game than Christian McCaffrey. So I subtracted one of those games. The yards aren't that far apart. And you can be ran on more, just as, like you said, we give up the rushing yards. Y'all have been giving up more rushing yards than we have in the playoffs. So, and we play like, and I think it's harder to guard the run when you have a scrambling quarterback. We play Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. So I think it's harder when you have a running back that who can turn around, and quarterback that can turn around and hand it off to a running back, but then he's also a rushing threat. So I think it's harder to defend both of those, to just turn around and say, okay, well, McCaffrey's a dog. I'm not taking that away from him. But I think we all can agree it's harder to defend a quarterback who can do both. When he's dual threat, it's hard to defend the run game when you do that.
Man, we do.
It's harder than just turn around and hand it to
the game. Did you watch the game? You got a dual threat quarterback. What are you talking about?
Listen, I understand, but not to the level of those guys.
Purdy, man. Purdy can run the A. Purdy is sneaky at that. Don't sleep on that.
So I got a question for you. I got a question for you though. All in good thing, I got a question for you. If the game plan is Sneed, you go grab IU, what you think his day is going to be?
Touche.
But IU, but we don't need IU. IU is going to do what he do. IU is one of the better blockers in the league.
Okay.
We don't need IU to go out there and catch 125. So cool. Take him out the game. Matter of fact, IU, take Sneed with you.
Okay, understand that.
Take him with you. So it's not Sneed take IU. IU take Sneed with you and go that way.
Okay. So when you add Deebo Samuel, you know he's instrumental into the success of Brock Purdy, right?
I like McDuffie. I like McDuffie.
First team all pro.
But this is a running back.
Not worried about that.
This is a running back.
Hey,
he's not guarding your typical. This ain't your typical slot wide receiver.
Let me tell you what's not typical. Everybody Google who leads the league in forced fumbles. That's Trent McDuffie, not a linebacker, not a what's the name. Like, these two guys go tackle. Like, when I said, boy, these guys gonna tackle you. They not just gonna cover you. These guys will tackle you. So I just don't see how.
Name another wide receiver in the league like Deebo.
Name another corner you feel like Trent.
I'm just saying. You just told me one thing. Just name another wide receiver like Deebo.
Jalen Reed from the Packers.
Who?
Jalen Reed from the Packers. He's in that same mode.
No.
Look, I'm gonna tell you like this. This is my assessment of the situation.
And another thing too. Hold on, real quick.
Go ahead.
Y'all lost to the Packers. Y'all lost to the Eagles. We destroyed them. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's matchup. It's matchup.
What you lit? Let me
can't really go off that.
No, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. That's why I didn't bring up the Ravens shook y'all like a rag doll, but we holding the 10 points. That's why I didn't bring up.
You did bring up the Packers. You brought up the Lions. You talking about lesser.
I got a question for you, Jose. So you're not the biased one, right?
Right.
You said we lost to the Packers, to the Eagles, right? Did you see Marquez Valdez-Scantling close the game out with a deep pass that you say you surprised he caught? What did he do in the Eagles game?
Dropped it.
He dropped that pass.
No.
So if he don't drop that pass with the Packers game, like I said, hey, if we played the Packers team that's dropping 1,000 pick sixes, hell, we'll win too. They called it against us.
Guess
Joe
what?
Mixon, whatever the Mixon got caught the interception.
This is the thing that well, these are the, I won't say which direction I'm going, but I'll say this is how each team can plan for the other, if that makes sense. The thing with the 49ers is you've let lesser running backs than Pacheco run all over you in the playoffs. I'm not going back to regular season. I'm just talking about what we've seen as of late. For Kansas City, you've let a team that you should be able to score on stymie your offense. So what I'm looking at is in Baltimore, because 17 points. Well, and not only that, but the 7 of the 17 didn't go up. But like you spoke on what your second half looked like. So what I'm looking at is San Fran can't stop the run, it's going to be a problem. However, if Kansas City can do to Christian McCaffrey what Detroit did, it's going to be a problem for the 49ers. The other thing that could be a problem for the 49ers.
What did they do to Christian McCaffrey?
They slowed him down a great deal.
You call it slowing down?
Yeah, I do.
I think he had like 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think he had like 30, 40 receiving yards.
The touchdowns, that's neither here nor there. I'm talking about yards.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm looking at is if you're going to depend on Brock Purdy and not Christian McCaffrey to bring home the championship, I don't know that it's going to happen. And that was going to be my next point. One thing that the 49ers have as a if or maybe, Kansas City is solidified, and that's at the most important position on the field, which is QB. So I don't know if the moment will be too big for Brock Purdy. I know for certain it won't be too big for Patrick Mahomes. That I know for sure the moment won't be too big for Andy Reid. I also know the track record of Shanahan. So I can see the deficiencies of either team sneaking up on. If the 49ers, who have a good defense, a good defensive line, linebacker core, if they can stymie Kelsey and keep the rookie Rice from going off, well, now Kansas City has to depend on Isaiah Pacheco. That's going to be a problem. If you can't put up but 17 points against the 49ers, I don't think you win as Kansas City. So I can kind of see, depending on how the game goes, either team taking it. But if you ask me right now to bet against Patrick Mahomes, I don't think I want to do that, although I reserve the right to finalize my decision on next week as far as that's concerned. But I can see how the deficiencies of either team can come back to bite them in the butt in this particular matchup, is how I'm looking at it. What one team is good at is what the other team kind of isn't good at. So that's why I'm at as far as that's concerned.
You know what my score prediction was with the Ravens?
What's that?
I said we was gonna win 20-17. So like if you look at the Ravens defense, in the past 10 years, there hasn't been a better defense, period. As far as if you go from like yards, turnovers, points per game given up, this is the #1 scoring defense in the league. Like, so I thought we was only going to score about 20. I say it's not going to be like too much of that. I think we're going to score about 20. So 17 it didn't come the way I thought it was going to come, but it was close enough on par. And if we'd have kicked the field goal when we got the turnover, I would have been right, like 20-10, but not 2017. I just don't think the 49ers defense is as good, not because of personnel, because of what the defensive coordinator puts them into. I think
Vander, you've actually said yourself that you don't like the game plan that the DC brings out there. So that there could be some
like I said, he made some switches, some changes at the half, and I like that one better. If you was watching the game, Shanahan was looking like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Shanahan was on him. But my thing is this. I get it. Pat Mahomes is the better quarterback. But don't sleep on Purdy. This dude's top 5.
Not sleeping on him. I'm just saying I don't know if the moment will be too big, and I don't think Purdy knows until he gets there.
Yeah, I ain't sleeping on Purdy at all.
It's been better quarterbacks that fell asleep at the wheel in the Super Bowl their first time around. That's all I'm saying.
You see, Barry will tell you, I'm not sleeping on Purdy because I remember when Cam Newton made that statement about him, he included him in the game manager. I said, well, no, you can't be a game manager and be in the MVP conversation. So even if you think he's not more athletic or not, but you can't, I've said that. So I'm not sleeping on that at all. I've just watched our defense, but I think this year we have the better defense than they do. I think so.
Your former quarterback, Alex Smith, said he's not allowed in the game manager club. So he's kicking him out of the club.
I think he's a little, I don't think he's elite, but I think he's not game. I think he's a little bit up. So I'm not disrespecting Purdy at all. But the only thing I'm saying is that we've, like, real talk, right? No question. If you tell me which quarterbacks you rather face going through to that, and when you get to Brock Purdy, if you say, listen, I got Tua and Brock Purdy pretty much in the same, like, what's the name? Even if you want to give Purdy a little bit more, but we just played Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. So no disrespect to Purdy. We're not going to go into it to be like, oh shit, this is Purdy. No disrespect to Jared Goff and Jordan Love, because Jordan Love is nice. I think Jordan Love is on one, like, no cap. I like Jordan Love. But it's a difference. I think when it comes to when you minimize the game, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, I think we have the better defense. I think we got the better quarterback. I think we have the better coach. And I think of those three things, if you have all three of them, and when it's a minimalized, I'm going to like my chances. I could be wrong. I just like my chances.
This. You speak about Lamar and Josh Allen. Who and Purdy, out of those three quarterbacks, who threw for the most passing yards?
Even though Purdy threw for it, like, I'm gonna say Purdy, right? You have Purdy.
Who threw for the most touchdowns?
Have Purdy. Have all of that. See, one thing I'm gonna tell you why that stat is not cool like that. What you think it is? Purdy threw more passing yards and touchdowns than Patrick Mahomes. So you can blind, like, you can say all of that right now today, and nobody in the history of America, with those three quarterbacks you just named, if you say rank them for me from which one, even after this season, not what we think, the season that just happened, like right now, before the Super Bowl, they said, listen, you can have one of these quarterbacks. Take three of these quarterbacks. I guarantee Brock Purdy would be the one that's left behind every single time.
But it is because of
talent.
Because he's not the better quarterback.
No, it's just because of what people already got Purdy behind the 8 ball anyway, because it's Purdy. It's the Mr. Irrelevant guy. You know what I'm saying? So
I don't.
No, I got to disagree with that now. Because I'm going to tell you like this. If you put Patrick Mahomes on the 49ers and give Patrick Mahomes those weapons that Brock Purdy got, if you give Patrick Mahomes
any of those quarterbacks and do that,
like come on, bro, like
any of them.
Please tell me you're not trying to argue that Brock Purdy is better than Patrick Mahomes
in the same system. Like, pick the quarterback up and put you.
That's what he just said. You would put Brock Purdy at number 3.
I'm not talking about. I'm talking
Brock Purdy number 4.
I'm talking playing against Lamar and playing against Josh Allen. I'm saying my quarterback has better numbers than both of them dudes. So I don't. That don't mean nothing to me, is what I'm saying. So, this has nothing to do with.
Yeah. Okay. I got you.
No. That's asinine to me, because Tua has better numbers than Patrick Mahomes. What did we do to Tua? Like, Lamar Jackson and them guys have better numbers than Patrick Mahomes. What did we do to them?
But look at Tua numbers.
I don't understand that.
Look at Tua numbers in that climate. Like, that game was like.
Okay, take Tua away. You
got a Hawaiian playing in Canada. Come on.
Guess what my response to that is, Zay? Guess what my response to that, Zay, is? Didn't we play this same team in Germany in a dome? And they only scored 7 more points. They scored 14. Well,
that's
like, so, like, I'm just saying, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not shitting on Purdy, but if you said, hey, if you had the opportunity to place any of these quarterbacks 1 through 4 in this Mike Shanahan system, just give me 3. Purdy's never going to be in that conversation. You're going to take Mahomes first and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, however you want to take it. And Purdy's going to be last if you're saying, like, I'm trying to say he's no scrub, but nobody's going to pick Brock Purdy over any of these guys. Nobody.
Why is Mahomes? We're not comparing Mahomes and Purdy.
Okay, throw Mahomes out of the way. Throw Mahomes out.
What I'm saying
you have an opportunity to have a Mike Shanahan-led offense, and you get to pick 2 quarterbacks to be on your team, a starter and a backup. The 3 choices are Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Brock Purdy. I guarantee you Brock Purdy is not getting chosen on any of those teams.
100%.
So
100%.
I'm not trying to shit on him. I'm just saying, don't act like we had to say, oh shit, but we got to prepare for Brock this week. He had better numbers. We got to prepare for Brock this week. No, we're not going to do that.
Because those guys are established. So of course somebody gonna take the guy with the less work in.
I disagree.
Oh,
I
what
disagree.
you mean? What you mean?
I disagree.
You got former MVP
Okay.
Jackson, and you got Josh Allen.
So let me ask you this
So
question.
people always gonna take those guys. This guy's brand new.
Let me ask you a question right. You think people would take Jamar Chase over Mike Evans?
Some.
Yeah.
Some.
Yeah,
absolutely.
but one guy is established, done had 7,000 to 8,000 received rushing yards. It comes to your talent level and what we measure you by.
People know that. I'm glad you said it because a lot of people don't know about Mike Evans.
But what I'm talking about, the people who do know, that's what I'm talking about.
Again,
Zay, will I ask you? So how will plenty of people
I'm going
say
with Chase all day?
Yeah, but Mike Evans is more established and has had a track record of that.
But Jamar has played well too.
Yeah, just like Brock Purdy.
And Brock has played well as well. And we'll have an opportunity to continue this particular argument going into next week. We got 2 weeks of this before the Super Bowl rolls around. So we'll be able to continue this. I do want to get a little bit of fantasy in here before we wrap it up.
Well, he gonna cry. He gonna cry.
Hey, Zay,
look, the show after the Super Bowl.
Boy, you gonna cry in the car, boy.
I'm gonna give both of y'all the floor. The show after the Super Bowl, because we're gonna talk about how one team
I'm looking at Vegas
and the deficiencies of the other.
I'm looking at Vegas, and they want to know the over under how many TVs you gonna break at the Super Bowl. I don't know.
You know what?
Glad
you're speaking on Vegas because I'm glad you're speaking on Vegas. I'm glad I'm speaking on Vegas because what Vegas, the most common score that's bet on that guessed the score of the game, 31-21 Chiefs. That's been the overwhelming favorite.
I said 10 points.
Yeah, but you saying it in your favor. That's what I thought. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But I thought you were saying it 49ers way.
You damn right. 10 points.
That's my dog, and he gonna get it.
Right quick, y'all. All right, so just so we're on the same page as far as the free agents are concerned, what we're talking about is who's about to be free agents and whether or not they're more than likely to move on from their current team. And if they move on, are they going to be better or worse? We'll deep dive as these decisions are made and be able to give you definitive answers on how that's going to work out. So we aren't going to we're just going to kind of pull back the curtain just slightly on it this week. We'll do the same thing with wide receivers on next week. So first up, we have the Giants and Saquon Barkley. Saquon is going to be a free agent. I personally believe that the Giants have already moved on, and so has Saquon, although he does not want to. And I can actually see it working out better for him. I don't think he's going to choose to go to a team with a worse offensive line than what the Giants currently have. So as long as he can stay healthy and he's going to have a chip on the shoulder, I can see it working out better for him. Ron, next up, we got the Raiders with Josh Jacobs. Do we think they end up re-signing him, or is he going to end up being a free agent? And also, do you think that's going to work out better or worse for him? Obviously depending upon landing spot.
I think it's going to work out better for him if he resigns. Like he's 1 year away from leading the league in rushing. Start off kind of slow, but if you listen to Antonio Pierce, he wants to play old Raider football, which is run the football and play defense. And if you look at the carries of how the emphasis on the carries when he came in as coach, like he got more of the load. So I think being that he led the league in rushing, like I said, the past year, got injured this year, but still has the talent and the mind frame and the philosophy of what Antonio Pierce is going to do. I think they're going to re-sign him because if you let him go, like, I don't know what their plans are at quarterback, but if they plan to roll with Aiden O'Connell, you have to lead on the run. So you might as well have somebody that's familiar with, with the culture and everything or whatever, who people respect. He has a C on his jersey. So, I think he's a great locker room fit. And I think what Antonio Pierce wants to do, I think that's a great place for him to re-sign back. So I think it'd be better for him to sign back. Of course, if he goes someplace else, I'm not trying to say he'll fail, but I just think he's in a great situation if he stays there.
Vander, we got Derrick Henry. Do you think that he is most likely to move on? And do you think it's going to end up being better or worse for him?
I'm going to say move on and be about the same.
Okay.
I mean,
We
I think
got
he may
go
get to a
ahead.
situation where he can be on a winning team, but as far as like what he would bring to the table, it'd probably be about the same. But he will be moving on.
We got Tony Pollard, who is now a Dallas Cowboy, but he is a free agent. I think Pollard had his opportunity to show that he could be the man without Zeke being there, and he didn't show it. I can very well see Derrick Henry ended up with the Cowboys jersey on, and Tony Pollard ended up somewhere else. So I do believe he'll move on, and I think that now he will go back to being a part of a committee, and I think that will actually be better for him because he was better in a committee than when they tried to give him the load. Next up, we got Austin Eckler of the Chargers. What you got on him, Ron? Is he going to stay or is he going to move on, and is it going to be better or worse for him?
I think he's out of there. I think with even though I know it's a new regime now with Harbaugh there, but how he was kind of used towards the end of the season and like how rumblings about of how he felt about everything. They even had us as like a landing spot for him, which I don't see. But I just think I think he's out of there. I'm trying to figure out what it would be a great landing spot for him because he's a great dual threat back. And I like you anytime you score 20 touchdowns, like you, regardless of what it is, even if it was last year, the year before, like you are a productive back. It wasn't like he did it 7 years ago. Like I think he still got some in the tank.
I know you were mentioning a good spot for him. He is what the Cowboys thought Tony Pollard could be.
Yeah, I agree.
And I know I'm going back to the Cowboys again. That's just because I know they're gonna need a running back. And they're probably not going to draft one too high, but that could be
Houston.
That could be an option. What you got, Ben?
What about Houston?
Houston is nice. I like that. Houston's
yeah,
nice.
Houston needs a running back too.
Yeah, that'd be a great fit.
And in all honesty, I can see Houston going the route of the committee. Tony Pollard might be a good fit there as a part of the committee, being able to catch the ball out of the backfield. You got DeAndre Swift, who's another one of those same type of guys with the Eagles. I don't know. I thought the Eagles were going to be the best fit for him. This is the first guy that we've come across that I think could possibly end up staying where he is. I think that would be the best thing for him to do. You don't want to end up on 3 teams in 3 years and now your cachet is just gone. I don't think you're going to get the money that you thought you were going to get, but I think staying with the Eagles is actually would be the best thing for Swift to be able to do.
I think Pollard replaces Swift being that Kellen Moore's guy.
Okay. Well, good point. Good point. Yeah, Kellen Moore is the new OC there for Philly. I forgot to go over that earlier when we were talking about the changes there in coordinators, but yeah. Good call.
Let me ask you a question before you get off that. Do you think the contracts are about the same, or do you think one comes cheaper than the other, or you think it like they're interchangeable with the contract?
I think they're gonna be about the same, honestly. Yeah. Give or take. Pollard had a horrible year, so he can't cash in on what he did with Zeke. If they had, that's why it's so tough on running backs that you can't get paid when you have the year that you had. If Josh Jacobs got paid when he led the league, completely different contract than what he's gonna be getting after this year. So it's unfortunate for running backs, but that's just kind of the way. And speaking of, okay, first of all, Vander, I'm going to you with this one, but please don't do my dude dirty. Have a heart, okay? Got my Buckeye, J.K. Dobbins.
What?
He's been hurt.
Call the Rock. Somebody called Dwayne Johnson this motherfucker. The hell are you talking about? Dwayne Johnson? That's my answer. If you
so you saying he's moving on is what you're saying?
If you smell, what is that team? The San Antonio Branhams or some shit like that? Yeah, one of them boys. Mm-hmm.
So you don't think
San Antonio?
So what you saying? So what you telling me is you don't feel that it's a possibility for him to be a part of any committee anywhere in the NFL after the injuries that he sustained?
The committee of the San Antonio Branhams. Call Dwayne Johnson, man.
Ron, I got one for you. Devin Singletary. He was a on again, off again. He had a decent season. but nothing to write home about. And the coaches already said we got to improve our running game, which is not a resounding spot on your resume, if you will. So, how do we feel? Do we believe the Texans are just going to bring in someone else and keep Singletary, or do we think Singletary goes somewhere else? And what does that do for his fantasy prognosis?
I think a couple of those games that he had when Pierce went off, when he was the guy and they loaded him up, he had a couple games that he did pretty decent. Also had a couple games where he didn't do that well. I think that bought him not like from what the Texans want, they're going to bring a running back in. I think that bought him a committee spot someplace. I could easily see like I think even with us, I don't think McKinnon will be back next year.
Okay.
Him and I don't want to mention another guy that's on the list that we have on here, but I'm just going to speak with him and somebody else. Now you can guess who I think I'm talking about. You probably know he used to play on your team that he won't be there. I think him actually would be a great fit behind like Pacheco because McKinnon, like I said, McKinnon will be gone. I don't think, even though CH has shown flashes, I don't think he'll be back. So I think his fantasy value, if he ends up with us, will be like if Pacheco's up right. I don't think so. If Pacheco goes down, then maybe you can put him as a low RB2 or so. But his fantasy value really just depending on where he goes. But I could see him actually being in our uniform because of how he can catch the ball out of the backfield and whatever. We don't have to lean on him to give him the load the entire time.
We got Zach Moss of the Colts. This is another guy that I can actually see the team re-signing him. He did exactly what he was supposed to do when Jonathan Taylor was out of the game. They did go ahead and re-sign or extend Jonathan Taylor, so he's going to be the guy there. But Zach Moss wasn't too far from it in the vast majority of the games that he had to play as the lead dog. So I can kind of see the Colts hanging on to him. Or if he can go to another team that has as good of an offensive line as the Colts, I can see him pretty much putting up similar fantasy numbers, whether he's filling in as the man or whether he's a backup. Vander, I got another one for you. I wish Joe was on here so he can talk about his mans in them. But AJ Dillon of the Packers, does he stay? Does he go? Is he even an RB3 anymore? He on my don't draft list unless something like crazy happens. But what you got for AJ Dillon?
Nah, I think he's cut.
Okay.
And I don't see him really having no value because
I don't see a spot for him. Like, where is he going to be valuable for fantasy? I don't see a team right now where he'll be valuable for fantasy, honestly.
So no.
No, I actually think I got one for this one.
Okay.
I think he could be it like if the Giants lose Saquon. I think he can actually be in a some type of rotation there though, not as the lead back. I think they bring in like one or two backs, another back. But I actually can see him, even though he had a terrible year. I think I can see that there because I think I can see him in New York. I don't know why, but I think I can.
So would you rather have a rookie or him?
I'd rather have both.
Give me the rookie.
Then that's why I was saying like I could see him be a part of like they bring in one or two guys. I'd rather have both of them. Like the rookie be like the lead dog or whatever, like, and then he spell him or whatever. Because I don't, even though he had a down year, I don't think he was 100% healthy this year either. He also came into to camp and everything like injured or whatever. So I think they should draft a running back late round and have him there as the second running back. I can see that.
The Commanders, Antonio Gibson is a free agent. This is one of the running backs that I kind of feel wasn't necessarily given the fairest of shakes. He got on the wrong end of the coach pretty early. And I really believe there's more talent there than we've seen as of yet. He could be one of those sneaky guys that you can get for almost next to nothing right now in Dynasty and in the draft. And depending on the team that he goes to, I foresee him being in a much better situation. I don't foresee him choosing a team that isn't going to put him in a better situation, even if he's not the man. Being the number 2 guy and being able to catch the ball out of the backfield, I can see him being able to make something shake. The Patriots, I'm going to throw this one your way, Ron. Ezekiel Elliott is a free agent. And I don't know if this is the guy that you had in mind as far as your Chiefs were concerned. Okay. I felt like it was, but speak on Zeke.
Yep. Of course, we know Zeke is not the Zeke who he used like to be or whatever. And like how I was speaking on, like as we can see now, Pacheco, even though like even last year before he took over the job, we lined him up at receiver and stuff in camp, whatever, and everything. So he can catch the ball. Even lined up at receiver and caught a couple passes in the Baltimore Ravens game. But our offense run better when we have like that different like lane type thing to where McKinnon can come in and be the pass catcher and everything or whatever. But I think Zeke is the absolute perfect person for that, because Zeke doesn't have what he had, but he still can catch the football. He can pass pro probably better than you. Can give me another running back that pass pro better than Zeke. You probably can, but right off the dome, I can't think of one like right now.
The only one I could think of is Juszczyk with the 49ers, and he a fullback.
Yeah,
he ain't
so
catching
like
much of nothing.
He can pass pro, he can run. And I always told Barry this. I say, I think what the Chiefs offense are missing, like before like Pacheco got that hard running style, like maybe we should get somebody like Garrett Blunt or somebody. So when we get to like the one, like you remember like Lindell White got down to the one and he punched in like 15, 16 touchdowns. Yeah, like let us get something like that. And see, Zeke can fill both of those roles. Like now when he's in the game versus to when McKinnon gives the spell, you pretty much, okay, he can run the ball, but he's probably going out for a pass. Like Zeke still can hand him the ball. So my dream scenario is us signing, if McKinnon doesn't come back, us signing Zeke and him and Pacheco lead the backfield. So that's exactly who I was talking about later on. So I think he can have one of those seasons to where fantasy wise, he may only give you 600 total yards or so, but he may have 8-9 touchdowns because of how our offense probably predicted to be. We've been in red zone a lot. So that's
I like Gibson for y'all.
Yeah, I thought about him too.
I do too. I really do. If you pair Gibson and Pacheco, I like that. I like. I really.
You know where I like Gibson at though? I like Gibson if Eckler leaves the Chargers and they get another running back to pretty much be like that pounding type back. I like Gibson in San Diego and Los Angeles.
They may hold on to Kelly as being the pounder. Kelly did.
I don't know if I'd rather draft somebody. I think I like Kelly, but I think I'd rather draft somebody, one of the younger guys, to be the lead.
You can do that too.
I don't think Harbaugh messing with none of them.
Well, new regime, so that good point. We got 3 more to go. We got Deontay Foreman of the Bears. I really don't know. Like Foreman he seems too good to be so bad. Like I don't I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I mean, Vander, what you got on Foreman?
He may stay.
He may stay.
Yeah, I mean
they're gonna keep the whole group together.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I think so because I mean, like, who you gonna? I mean, yeah. He probably a good locker room guy, man, or something like that.
Do you think that it would be better or worse as far as fantasy is concerned for him to stay then?
You shouldn't worry about him fantasy wise anyway.
Touche. Good point.
If his injuries and he playing against the Carolina Panthers, then yeah, you play him because he's gonna go crazy. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, no, he shouldn't have any fantasy applications at all.
Last 2 RBs up. I'll take this one and then leave the last one to you, Ron. We have Gus Edwards of the Ravens. This will be short and sweet. Gus is going to end up being what a couple of other running backs were if the Ravens don't re-sign him, which he does have a pretty good relationship with that particular team. So I think the best thing for him would be to stay with the Ravens. If they don't re-sign him, I can see the same thing happening to him that happened with Kareem Hunt and Leonard Fournette. It's going to take injury or someone not doing their job very well for him to get another bite at the apple. He's going to be 29 years old. Running backs are a dime a dozen as far as being able to get them out the draft, even getting them undrafted. So that's going to kind of hang over his head a little bit. The last running back up, we have Kareem Hunt of the Browns. What say you, Ron?
I think his best bet is to go back to the Browns, even though I hate that situation of what they have going on. Chubb is coming off the devastating injury.
Right.
He should be ready for camp and everything. And I know you still already have what's my man name, Ford, in front of
Yeah.
him.
Ford is
You
the
still
guy
have-
there, barring what happens with Chubb.
And I think until you figure out what happened with Chubb, you bring everybody back. And if you want to bring Chubb along slowly, I think you still bring them back. But one place I wouldn't mind seeing him at, and I wish I could see him at maybe a year earlier. I wouldn't mind seeing him in either like that 49ers offense, even though I know McCaffrey's there, or like the McDaniel offense, like that type of like offense there. So I know Mostert had 20 touchdowns. I don't know what his contract situation is or anything, but I wouldn't mind seeing him in one of those also.
That actually makes, I mean, with the 49ers, their backup, Elijah Mitchell, is always hurt. So that could make, I mean, he showed a flash in the pan of what McCaffrey has sustained, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
His rookie year, and then he got in trouble and ended up out of the offense that was best for him. So, but yeah, good call. That'll pretty much wrap it up for us for this week. We will make sure that we bring it back to you again on next week. There'll be a few more arguments over the 49ers and the Kansas City. I can assure you of that. We will, well, I won't say we're going to give our official Super Bowl picks because you already know who Ryan and Van are going to pick, but I'll give my official Super Bowl pick, and we'll deep dive into the fantasy football as far as wide receivers are concerned. But for today, we out. And remember, tell the truth.